My name's Christy Smallwood, and I have my first book release called The No Rules Way out there for your perusal. It is about business networking and strategies that you can implement to be able to meet new people and build those relationships to build a really strong following through networking. I worked under KFC, and so I was the liaison on a national basis for all of the ad agencies and all the franchisees. When I started my own business, it took more than just putting a name badge on and having a business card to be able to promote myself. And I didn't know exactly how to do that well. I didn't have much of a local network outside of my friends and family. So I knew I needed to build a network. My first networking event out did great. I knew the only things I knew was to have your business cards, have the name tag, collect business cards, and make people like you. If they like you, they'll do business with you. Okay. Now what? So I come away with that first networking event with a lot of cards, and then I didn't really know what to do with those. I didn't know how to follow up with people very well. Where did I even want to go with that? How to prospect for people? So my second networking event, I actually ran across John Zidell. He is considered one of the Louisville's networking experts. My personal network after meeting him and partnering up in business has more than tripled. It went from a nice little handful to what you just heard. The first moment I met him, I didn't like him very well. His high energy and his love for asking questions and just being so quick, fast-paced, I wasn't prepared enough, and he just jumped right in. That was my first impression. But later on, as we got through, our first function was speed networking. Then he noticed my Wonder Woman organizer. I like to have a little fun too, keep it light. He saw that on the table and he said, "Ooh, can I sit next to you? I'm a Batman fan." And he shows me his cufflinks. But from there, we did the one-on-one, the follow-up, have a lunch, get to know each other outside of the function so you can build those relationships. And from there, he quickly deduced, because being kind of like Batman, he is very quick at deduction. I am not good at sales. I can market and I can promote and I can tell the world and show it off great and really make a big spectacle out of it. But to get you to sign on the dotted line and hand over money is a totally different skill, which I did not have at the time. But in the meantime of all of that, I learned about this John Zidell up front, and he had what was called no rules networking. I was like, ooh, that sounds intriguing. There's no rules to the networking? How does that work? John is also a self-admitted shy guy, although you would never tell, if you knew him, you would never know that. He learned how to put these strategic processes in place to create strong relationships so that network would continue to grow out. So no rules networking, 12 years, strategies behind being able to build your network. Strategies including understanding what is going on in the room if you don't know anybody, how to be able to point out certain dynamics that are going on in the room, such as the wallflowers. There's still strategy that can happen with the wallflowers. How to have a host mentality. So for people like me who are the overachievers, I'm a little socially clumsy unless I have a job to do. If I have a purpose, if I know I need to be a little crazy at an event when I'm emceeing, I'm good with that because that's my job. If I can be the hostess and say, ooh, would you like something to drink? Would you like some snacks? Here's the books. If I'm guiding people, I have my purpose. Even if it's not my event, I do it anyway now. So you have your shallow end and you have your deep end. When you go to these functions like GLI may have, or we went to a tourism thing I think once, knew no one. Take a shallow end, find a shallow end, immediately build a shallow end. That person that you're comfortable with, that you can spend a few minutes saying, okay, here's the strategy, you go find somebody and I'll go find, and we'll come back and we'll meet. That way you've got a grounding point, that shallow end to come back. But if you never get out into the deep end, where you don't know anybody, getting out of your comfort zone, you're not going to learn to swim. You're not going to develop those skills. You're not going to get any better. But it's good to be able to pace yourself and come back to the shallow end when you need a break. So that's a good way to pace yourself during networking events, considering it a pool. And there's other strategies he talks about, being able to do a paraphrased introduction, extremely powerful. We do it anyway, but if we done with intention, not kick it up just a notch. So when I introduce Brian to Dave, I talk all about Brian and all the great things that he does. Dave thinks positive of Brian. I have credibility because I know Brian. So then I introduce Dave to Brian. I'm the one introducing the two of them together. So everybody in that circle, credibility rises. Everybody kind of already likes each other. So they're already stepping out on a positive note. But it really boils down to having this networking as a lifestyle. Yes, there's strategies in there. I also talk about market in moderation is one of my favorite sections in the whole book, because a lot of times when you do go to networking functions, the magical rhetorical question is, what do you do? Right, Kathy? Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to come across somebody who continues to take the rest of your attention span on what it is they do and why you need what they've got and why you should do business with them. And if you don't do business with them, then you don't make smart decisions, and you're really stupid if you don't choose da-da-da-da. But basically, aside from the strategies, it also talks about serving. There's a heart to it. There's a culture, like Bill talked about with the business. There's a culture about honest and true networking. It's not just networking, it's building great communities, because you're really investing in this other person. You're taking the time to find out what it is that you do. I've listened now to statistics, the Bayesian theory. I'm actually interested in learning more. It's going to take me a little longer than other people, but I'm interested. And so now that I have a vested interest in what it is that you do, I can now listen better to somebody else and say, oh, you need to meet and talk about, you guys would make a great conversation. And that's what I do a lot now, is I'm listening differently so that I can make those connections to build better communities. What happens from that, strategic alliances is going on, businesses are growing. Arkham Execeutive, which again, John and I own, we had 7 of the finalists at the Business Awards in Indiana this week, 2 of which were winners. And part of that was being able to make those connections between them and other business people so that they could build their business better. Or they've had more of an investment into their own communities. Or they just work better. Everybody can do that without moderators. Everybody can do that just by having a little bit of better listening skills, having a genuine interest in the person across from you. That goes into that serving, being able to give back. And then there's an extra treat at the end, what I think would be an ultimate networking event. So, which would be, at the end of my days, I go on to the next place and I get to meet anybody and everybody from King Solomon to Abraham Lincoln. So I'm excited.
Paraphrase introductions there.
Paraphrase introductions. Absolutely. That's why it takes an eternity. So that's the book in a nutshell. Thank you very much.